Good morning, everyone, and a special welcome to all the mothers that have joined us today. I'm Alex Bulgarino, and I have the privilege to speak at this year's Mother-Son Breakfast. But first, I want to warn those sitting around my mom that this is her first ever Mother-Son Breakfast. You see, every year, my mom's most important business meeting is held on this same day. And this year, I'm grateful to say that she will be joining us and playing hooky from work. So those near her, be careful, because she has about 6 years of tears to make up for. What makes mothers so special? Moms have this phenomenal gift to think that every great idea their sons have is the greatest idea in the world, and they will stop at nothing to support their sons achieve their goals. My mom has put up with my lofty ambitions of playing soccer in college ever since I was 5 years old. And due to her support, I will be playing soccer in college this next fall. Thank you, Mom, for your constant support. And I now have this opportunity to realize my dream of playing soccer at the University of South. And Mom, one of the reasons I picked it is because it's a couple hours down the street. I promise I'll try to call as often as possible and visit as often as I can. Moms have a very unique skill. When tensions get high, when everything seems to be at risk, they have this uncanny ability to handle any situation. My mom is able to manage a boardroom full of bickering corporate officers and fly home the same day to defuse a competitive game of Xbox between my brother and me. That same quality, which allows her to handle such extreme situations with a stoic calmness, emboldens those around her with a similar energy and attitude. A ski trip story reminds me of her motherly resolve and logical thinking. My mom and I ventured to Park City, Utah for a mother-son vacation, and what a trip it was. The two of us were very, very amateur skiers. The extent of our skill included making pizza slices and French fries with our skis. But you wouldn't believe how good we got at making pizza slices and French fries by the end of the trip. We were so new that the ski instructor wouldn't even trust us with ski poles. Yeah. But that didn't stop us from having a great time. Yet, all great things must come to an end, and it was time for the park to close, and everyone knew it. So we followed the other hundreds of skiers to the tram to take us down the mountain. And when we noticed a sign that said, "Shortcut," my mom and I were utterly drained at this point from a hard day of skiing, and we decided to take this shortcut. The path led us to a ski lift, which took us to another part of the mountain. We hopped on the lift and noticed that it wasn't going down the mountain. In fact, it was heading straight up towards the peak of it. At this point, I began to worry, but my mom told me, at this point, we can just go along for the ride. So when we reached the end of the lift, we were much higher than any slope we had been trying to ski down all day. And so I look around, and I see these wooden signs with painted black diamonds on them. And my being 10 years old and hardly an amateur skier, it did not clue me into the fact that we were at the Black Diamonds. These are the hardest slopes on the mountain, filled with treacherous ledges, deep drops, and hazardous snowbanks. We were not prepared at all. But at this point, I began to start to panic, and my mom, she comforted me and said, "We can make it down if we just focus on our basic training. Pizza slices and French fries." So off we went, skiing down the slope, doing the best we can. And I remember feeling the icy, biting, cold wind. It's began to snow. The sun's going down, it's getting colder. So I tried my best, alternating between pizza slices and French fries, stopping and going, trying not to go too fast to where I lose control and just go completely into the woods, never to be seen again. And finally, I tell my mom, I can't go any further. And she calmly suggests that we take a break. And luckily, a park ranger comes breaking in behind us, and she asks if we're in danger, if we need help. And she says that once we get down to a safe enough altitude, they can call us a snowmobile. Which, I mean, at this point I'm thinking, all right, snowmobile. Never been on one. What kid wouldn't want to? So my mom, she asked the ranger if she could take our skis down the mountain. And I thought, why would you have the skis down the mountain? How else are we going to get down? I thought the cold had finally gotten to her brain. But she explained to me that it'd be easier and safer to walk/roll down the slope. By the end of the trip, I had never had so much snow in my clothes. So after what seemed like an eternity of rolling, we reached the ranger checkpoint, and they taxied a snowmobile for us. I finally felt as safe and warm as MBA's campus on an icy, should-have-been snow day. And yet, there was one more obstacle to overcome. The snowmobile could only fit 2 people, the driver and a passenger. And my mom, again, calmly came up with a plan and volunteered to ride behind on a sled being dragged by the snowmobile. So we finally got down the mountain, and I remember looking behind me, and my mom, she was freezing, shivering, having been chilled to the bone by the snow being kicked up by the snowmobile. And despite this frightful and cold experience, I had a fantastic time with my mom that weekend. But thanks to her, I learned a more profound lesson. When life is chaotic, we should keep calm and stay on the path of hard work and not be blinded by shortcuts to make life easier. As I mentioned before, this is my mom's first ever mother-son breakfast. I know that there are many of your moms who could not join us today, but who wish they were. So to all the moms out there, on behalf of all the MBA gentlemen here today, I wish to say thank you. Thank you for not only putting up with us, but also finding a way to love us. We know that we're not easy to love and that we make your lives more difficult. But that's part of our job. Mom, I know that these last 18 years have probably been very stressful, but I want you to know I'm going to be all right. Moms, we're all going to be all right. We've had you teaching us and guiding us all these years. I love you, Mom, and thank you so much for being there to guide me. And don't worry, I don't plan on taking any more shortcuts.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ben Evans, and like most, I did not tell my mother I would be speaking today in order to make her cry as much as possible. Michelle Evans, Mom, Moom, or Mom Shell, has always been the most important person in my life for many reasons. She is the kindest person I know and has, over the years, shown me how to be compassionate towards others and try to put myself into their shoes. As I've grown up, I've watched her become friends with people everywhere we go, such as Reggie, Tony, and Regina at Kroger, who always ask about everyone in the family by name. They even exchange Christmas presents with each other. I've also learned that no matter what I do, however bad it may be, my mother is always there to hug me and tell me she loves me. So, as some of you may know, my mom loves dogs. She grew up with only 25 or 30 as a kid, and I've grown up with only 10. Ellie, Lizzie, Lucky, Allie, Inky, Rebel, Daisy, Ozzy, Rue, and Dugan. She cares deeply for dogs, and an example of this affection is the story of how she got one of our first dogs, Lucky. My mom was watching the news one day and saw that a fire had started in the animal shelter that used to be by Harding Academy. So she sped over to the shelter and found a group of Belmead policemen running into the shelter, coming out with armfuls of dogs and throwing them in the trunks of their cars. So my mom decided to foster one of the dogs without telling my dad, just to see how it went over. Even though we already had 2 dogs, my mom overruled my father, and we've always had 3 ever since. My mom also seems to have a knack for finding the most problematic dogs of all time. Lizzie had cholesterol problems, something I didn't even know a dog could have. Rebel is the size of a small bear and is scared of curtains, clicking noises, shadows, Every person over 6 feet, which is 3 of the 4 people in our family, and of course, the ceiling. Then there's Daisy, who chases shadows around and runs into walls trying to eat them all day. And the worst, or best of all of them, depending on how you look at it, was Inky. Inky was a black Cocker Spaniel mix who was allergic to bees, chicken, the primary ingredient in 99% of dog foods, and best of all, grass, the thing she walked on every day. As you can probably imagine, she was fun to deal with. I've also witnessed my mother on multiple occasions run out into and stop traffic on Granny White in pursuit of her dog Rebel. One of my favorite stories takes my mother to a consignment store where she took way more clothes than she originally predicted. The worker, who was taking care of an ugly little Chinese crested dog, reluctantly took all of my mom's clothes. But my mother, being my mother, felt bad, so she spontaneously offered to take the dog home with her. The worker was very pleased because if you don't recognize the name of the breed, the Chinese crested may very well be the ugliest dog on the planet. It's a tiny dog with hair only on its head and nowhere else. The feeling of petting a hairless dog is indescribably disgusting, to say the least. Oh, and remember earlier how I said my mom didn't tell my dad about bringing a new dog home? Yeah, she did that again here, as well as with Inky and Daisy. So if you couldn't tell, my mom can somehow always get my dad to let her keep a dog, even if we already have 3. My mom was also an athlete growing up, playing basketball and soccer. Legend has it she could cover the entire basketball court at Episcopal Day School in merely 2 steps. She played college soccer at Millsaps and therefore loved every minute of my playing soccer as a kid. She even coached me for a few years. But after replacing soccer and basketball with hockey and baseball, my mom was no longer able to relate with my sports choices and was forced to hang up the whistle. She may have not fully picked up on all the intricacies of hockey until the last few years, but no matter what, she was always there, cheering me on. I might have done 100 things wrong in one game and only one single thing right, but after the game, if I were upset, my mom would congratulate me on the one thing I did right and be proud of me for it. Even when other parents asked to see my birth certificate because I was too big to be a 12-year-old, my mom kept her cool for the most part until an opposing team's coach threatened my brother's team. She earned the nickname Rocky for her motherly instinct to protect her kids and readiness to stand up for us. To me, my mom has always been a superhero, able to take care of my dad, my brother, and me, along with so many others, so well. She always showed us how to put others first, and that being selfless and kind is how to find happiness. I thought that superheroes were invincible and would be able to take care of others no matter what, but there comes a time when every superhero needs help, no matter how strong they are. I had a rude awakening in November of 2010 when my parents called my brother Jake and me into their room to tell us that my mom had been diagnosed with breast cancer. I was a 10-year-old 5th grader and did not know what to make of this news. I was stunned and scared and didn't know it was going to happen to my mom. This was the first that I had really heard of breast cancer. I'd always known that cancer was a real thing, but I never thought anyone I knew would ever get it or that it would ever affect me so directly. After the initial shock, my brother turned the conversation in a positive direction. We had always seen NFL players wearing pink cleats, gloves, and towels to support breast cancer awareness and realized that we could do the same thing. Jake and I started brainstorming ways that we could wear pink and show our support of our mom and other patients and survivors. We came up with the idea to wear pink laces on our shoes and hockey skates. We bought pink gloves for football and used pink tape on our hockey sticks. Then, once we told our friends, they all started to do the same thing. You could catch the 5th and 6th grade JT Moore basketball teams all wearing pink laces and wristbands. You could also find both of our hockey teams wearing pink laces and using pink tape for their sticks. My mom's best friend even custom ordered some pink bracelets that said peace, love, hope, Michelle on them. And Jake and I gave them out to as many people as we could. The support was unbelievable, and the loneliness that I felt when I learned my mom had cancer faded. My mom had an entire community rallied around and supporting her. Since my dad was working and my mom had to be in bed most of the time, people would bring us dinner and groceries, offering to take Jake and me to school to do anything they could to help out. The superhero that I had always known was now calling upon us to take care of her. It was hard to see my dad have to carry my mom to bed at night. but for her to be able to stay positive even during treatment just to keep her young boys from being scared was the most courageous and amazing thing I've ever witnessed. My mother was going through harsh surgeries and recovery that would take a massive toll on most people. And while I know it did take its toll on my mom, she endured it with confidence and strength that gave me hope. The next year, when October rolled around, I was in 6th grade at JT Moore and my brother was in 7th grade at MBA. We decided to take it another step past just wearing pink laces and gloves to spread awareness. We started a Race for the Cure team called the Pink Panthers. We had an unbelievable amount of support pour in from all over. All of our friends and family joined the team and walked with us at the race. Jake also got a pretty decent group from MBA to be members of both the MBA team and ours. So on the day of the race, we all gathered, celebrated, and walked together. And still, to this day, one of the most amazing moments I've ever been a part of is the finish line at the Race for the Cure. They have the normal finish line for regular participants, and then they have a special lane for breast cancer survivors and current patients. In this lane, they call out the woman's name, give her flowers, and everyone cheers in support of her. Watching my mom walk over this finish line was the peak of emotion for all of us because it was the first celebration of her being cancer-free. My mother has always given me so much unconditional love, and this moment was the first time that felt as if I could try to give it back to her. Since then, I've realized how important a mother is to a boy. After witnessing the struggles my mom endured, I learned from them, and now make sure that she always knows how much she means to me. I tell her I love her every morning before I leave for school, and every time we talk on the phone, even if my friends may make fun of me for it. Some people like to make fun of NBA guys by calling it Mama's Boy Academy, but I honestly agree and take it as a compliment. I might be the epitome of a mama's boy, and while some might laugh, I love my mom and I'm proud of it.
Surprise. I'm honored to be speaking about my mother today at this special breakfast, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit about her. So my mom constantly has her hands full with her 3 sons. I'll be honest, we 3 are not easy sometimes, but she shows endless love and support for us all. A typical day at the Cain house includes waking up with a song that she sings. It's called Rise and Shine. Even though we're not always shining first thing in the morning, she is. She smiles and is enthusiastic in the hours it is hardest to be bright and optimistic. She is a lively, loving mother that makes our days great. When I was younger, I used to get embarrassed by her. I remember when I was in middle school, she would drop me off at the swimming pool and scream, "I love you," across the parking lot in front of everybody. Also, I remember my first day of kindergarten, I was late, and she insisted that she walk in front of the entire class and explain to the entire class why I was late. That was kind of embarrassing. And at the time, I thought it was the end of the world. But now, looking back on it, I appreciate how much my mom wanted to show her love for me and support for me. Over the years, my mom has taught me some of the most valuable lessons of my life, lessons that I will forever hold on to. One thing my mom has taught me over the years is the value of random acts of kindness. Every day, she goes out of her way in some form to deliver a random act of kindness for her family, whether it is coming home to a clean room, an afternoon snack waiting for us at home after school, or sporadic hugs. She finds time in her day to go out of her way for us. The second lesson that she has taught me is patience. Raising 3 boys is no easy task, and I'll be honest, my brothers and I are not always the best behaved. Like all boys, we fight, we become selfish and obsessed, especially during football season. We leave dirty dishes on the coffee table and wet towels on the floor. My mom puts up with us no matter how bad we can be. She often forgives us and always loves us no matter the circumstance. Another lesson that she has taught me is to kill them with kindness. My mom has taught me to respect and be kind to everyone, even the people whom we are inclined to dislike the most. At first, I thought this attitude was foolish. I can tell you, however, that my mom was right. Kindness is a cure to all, as people are rarely as bad as we might think, especially when they are treated with kindness. There's no better person to teach that view than my mom. The final lesson my mom has taught me is resilience. In the spring of my sophomore year, my mom was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. This news was a shock to us all. We were all very scared. However, my mom did not change. She still approached each day with kindness and love. I remember after treatment, she would be exhausted, tired, and beat up. That exhaustion did not stop her from loving her family and going out of her way to support and care for us. Her entire battle with cancer opened my eyes and showed me her true character: compassion, caring, and bravery. Even during these tough times for her, she still put others before her. It amazed me that she would do so much for us and care for us in these hardest times when it should have been the other way around. When we would come home from school, we would talk to her as she lay in bed and rested. Before we could ask her anything, she always asked how our day was, what we did. She did not let us ask her first because she cared more about us and our day more than anything at that specific moment, no matter what she went through that day. After watching her battle and beat cancer, I can say that she is the strongest, bravest woman I know. I've learned that our moms have us in their best interest. Our moms care for us, support us, and lift us up in our darkest moments. My mom means so much to me. She's the anchor to my life and my family. I know I can always count on my mom no matter the situation. I do not know what I will do next year without my mom. She's given so much to me, and she never asked for anything back. She loves me for who I am and will love me no matter whom I become. She has sacrificed so much for me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Mom, I do not say this enough. Thank you for everything. I love you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ruff, Maddox, and I have a habit of not telling my mom important things. So, surprise, I'm speaking. I'd like to start off by thanking my mom. Mom, thank you for all that you've done for me. Without you, I'm positive I wouldn't have made it as far as I have today, because you've always pushed me to be the best person I can be. I hope you don't mind if I tell everyone how you've made such an incredible impact on my life. To start, let's talk about manners. To this day, there have been few dinners or lunches where my mom has not stopped me from eating the correct way. Comments like, "Is that really how you hold your fork?" Or "Ruff, sit up straight." And my personal favorite, "Ruff, you don't need to eat so fast. No one's gonna take your food." These are all common in the Maddox and Caldwell household. My mom has drilled into me the importance of always being respectful to everyone. I try my best to use "yes, sir," and "no, sir," and "yes, ma'am," and "no, ma'am." But to this day, whenever I forget to use "ma'am" when I'm speaking with my mom, she will stop the entire conversation and make me repeat whatever I just said with "ma'am" included. Even though it's sometimes frustrating, she corrects me because she knows what's best for me. As I'm sure many of you know, your mom always knows what's best for you, even when they don't know. One of the incredible parts of my mom is personality. She's always right, unless it's about fixing the internet or something along those lines. But not everything is always sunshine and rainbows in our lives. One of the only things my mom and I fight over is the temperature in our house. I absolutely love cold weather and everything cold in general. My mom can't say the same. One of the most unfortunate things about our home is that the temperature of my room also controls the temperature of our den and kitchen. I'll set the scene for you. It's the middle of December. Might be 35, colder outside. I'm up in my room, sweating. It's far too hot for me inside to be even remotely comfortable. A boiling 67 degrees. I crank it down to a nice cool 64. My mom, wrapped in probably several blankets, immediately hears the AC come on in the depths of December and instinctively knows who has changed the temperature. Me, the grizzly bear himself. Trying to shake off her confusion of why I was awake so early in the day, noon, she walks up the stairs, changes the temperature back, and yells at me for nearly giving my sister and her pneumonia while inside the house. I think we are fortunate enough to say that some of our biggest arguments have been about how it's too hot for me to go outside, Mom, or it's too cold outside, Ruff, I need another one of your jackets. Although we are both very stubborn people who hate to give up ground on anything, I know that at the end of the day, if I have to concede in an argument, I'll concede to her. She's the person who raised me during some of my most difficult times, adolescence and young adulthood. Like some of you, my family struggled with a divorce. At the time, I didn't really understand what would happen to us. It was scary, but my mom always stayed strong for my sister and me. She did her best to make it seem as though everything was normal, but also helped us cope with the reality of our situation. She took us to school, cooked us food, and never once complained about the workload she had. She was my rock and my best friend during some of the hardest times. Thank you. But I'd like to think I've become fairly independent. But every time I find myself trying to do something for myself, I always look for my mom for help. Literally a year ago, whenever I would go to the doctor's office and the nurse would ask what hurts or what's wrong, I wouldn't say a thing and just look to my mom to tell the nurse for me. I'm like an 8-year-old with the body of a 30-year-old man. She reminds me to shave every morning like you would remind a child to brush his teeth. So seriously, I don't know what I'm gonna do next year without you. Mom, I wouldn't trade the memories and time I've spent with you for anything. From cleaning up cuts and bruises from when I was little, to waking me up at 5 in the morning for football practice, and making me drink pickle juice after every game. I can't thank you enough for all you've done for me. Even though I'm leaving for college next year, I'll always be your little boy. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jax McFadden, and I am very honored to be talking about my wonderful mother today. When I first told my mom that I was speaking today, I was expecting to get a, "Oh, honey, that's so sweet, I can't wait," or something of the sort. But no, her first reaction was, "Oh gosh, oh no, oh geez, is there still time to get out of it? Try to see if you can get out of it." Sorry, Mom, couldn't get out of it, so I'll try not to embarrass you too much. My mom is an amazing woman. She never ceases to amaze me with her intelligence, love, and ability to find something that I have looked for hours. She is one of the most likable people anyone will ever meet, and this quality is shown by her ability to talk for an hour with anyone. I can remember countless times when I have walked out of church or a store, and I've had to sit idly by as my mom talks to someone for 45 minutes to an hour. She many times does not even know this person very well. It really is an amazing quality of patience and compassion that I will never understand. For an example, when we got here, I don't think my mom sat down for most of the first part where we were here until Mr. Julia said, "All right, we're starting." And then she still kept talking to the people behind us. My mom is also very supportive. She has always come to my football games and soccer games, and I can often tell she is there because I always hear a loud, "Let's go Big Red," or "Come on NBA," above everyone else. Most people, like my brother and sister, may not like this mannerism too much, but I'm a mama's boy, so I love it. And when I hear screaming from the stands, another defining characteristic of my mom is her loud laugh. I can identify her laugh from a far distance. There have been many times at different school events or social gatherings where I will be on the other side of the room or in another room, and I will be able to hear someone laugh and know instantly that it is my mom. There is no doubt that this habit is where I get my loud, interesting laugh that so many of my friends have tried to mimic and have failed to do so. In addition, my mom is one of the most hardworking people I know. Not only has she been able to accommodate almost every need at our house, where at one point lived 3 teenagers who couldn't be more different, she did this while working part-time for her own consulting business, chairing the main event at Harpeth Hall in 2014, and being the Mothers Club president last year for NBA. On top of balancing all these acts, she is still able to make time to support her family and friends and whatever they may be doing. I think it is safe to say that my mom is an unbelievable person who defies stereotypes, tries to care for others without judgment or prejudice, and loves her family unconditionally. Mom, I don't know what I'm going to do without you next year, but I know you've prepared me well for anything that comes my way. It's going to be tough having to do all my laundry on my own next year. And even though you swear I don't know how to use it, You've taught me well in the ways of the washer, in addition to hundreds of other valuable lessons that have made me the man I am today. Mama, I appreciate you more than you know, even though sometimes it doesn't seem that way, and I love you so much. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. When I turned 16, my mother gave me a birthday card that contained these special words. I will always support you and be in your corner. God could not have given me a sweeter blessing. Why did he just highlight those words, you might ask? Well, it's the only writing I've ever cried over, and my mother still will never let it die. She even decided on the next year's card to pen, OMG, cannot believe you're 17. I would make you tear up again, but I changed my mind. Well, there should be some Kleenex under your seat because it's my time now. My mother, Miss Laura Munoz, is a special person. When I was younger, I believed she could do anything. And now at 18, nothing has changed. A mother's job is already hard enough, but a mother raising 4 boys on her own seems impossible. And she does it every day. When my father died, I had no direction, no sense of urgency to do anything, despite it being my exam time of my 8th grade year. It was a very hard time to find happiness in anything, and when my exam grades were released, that mentality stayed alive. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I received a letter from MBA stating that I would not be enrolled in the following year unless the 4 failing classes rose to passing. I will never forget when my mom came in the room, looked me directly in my eyes and said, "You need to get it together. Life is hard, things are tough, but the world does not stop for you." You can only imagine how hard it was for a boy my age to hear tough words like that. But I realized how hard it was for her to say those words, as she was hurting too. I don't know how you do it. Working till 11, waking up at 5:30, day in and day out, to get 4 very tired boys on their feet and to the schools they need to be on time. And not to mention sports events on the weekends. You're truly amazing. Your selflessness is unmatched. You would give your last dime and last item of clothing off your back for your children. If you want to see Mama Bear do damage, get between her and her cubs, because behind her 5'2" stature is a punch even Mike Tyson could feel. Ma, you have been my greatest teacher, showing me how to be a man and the way I hold myself and treat others, instilling humility, love, strength, and resilience. Everything you have given me in sacrifice, I can never fully pay you back for, but I will work my butt off to make sure you have the finer things in life. Whenever I hear a question of where I'm going to college, I say Belmont with pride and joy because I'm not far away from you. I am proud to be a mama's boy. I know I'm not always the greatest son in the world, but you can always know that I will always support you and be in your corner. God could not have given me a sweeter mother. Ma, I love you so much.